Well, I'm Dan, and this is Dan Explains. Have you ever asked yourself, or anybody else for that matter, what's a woman? The new Supreme Court Justice, Kentanji Brown Jackson, famously, or infamously, said she wasn't a biologist, so she didn't know what a woman was. Anyway, I am a biologist, so I can explain what a woman is, which I will in a minute. But there is more to this than biology, which is what is leading to all this obstinate confusion. Let me explain why. I once heard a podcast where a biologist answered the question, "What's a woman?" And instead of explaining, she used the opportunity to sow confusion instead. She cherry-picked some rare side cases of people who were hermaphrodites or chimeras, and then used the logical fallacy that because the questions were difficult to answer in those cases, that it wasn't clear what a woman really is. I've actually covered those subjects on my channel before, so take a look around. Unless you're one of the rare people who were born with ambiguous genitalia, I'm pretty sure you know exactly what sex you were when you were born. Just because there are rare side cases doesn't mean that for most, what sex you are isn't blatantly obvious. So let's look at this from an actual biological standpoint for a moment. Biologically speaking, why are there men and women? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Taking two people and mixing genetic material to make offspring produces healthier offspring. As a quick example, we can look at something that can't reproduce sexually anymore. Domestic bananas. Yes, in spite of how they look, bananas reproduce by cloning, which is actually pretty easy to do in plants. Well, have you ever noticed that artificial banana flavor doesn't seem to taste much like a real banana, and no one seems to care to point this out? Well, it does taste like bananas, but it tastes like a different variety of banana than we get in the store. A variety larger and more flavorful than the variety you can buy. So, why don't we use this better variety? Well, because I got devastated by something called Panama disease. At least here in the US. If you're from Asia or something, the more popular varieties in your area may have the correct flavor. Anyway, that variety had pretty much zero genetic variability due to the lack of sexual reproduction. None of the plants had resistance to the disease. So, all of the growers were forced to switch to the smaller, less flavorful banana we're all familiar with. Which, by the way, is being killed by another disease. I mean, all bananas that don't have seeds are clones, and whenever have you ever taken a bite out of a banana with seeds? So yeah, cloning to survive is a bad strategy, and the easiest way to achieve sexual reproduction is through sexual dimorphism, which means having two sexes that have two complementary sexual organs. You might ask why it's not better biologically to have everyone both male and female at the same time, like many plants. Well, there is one example in animals of this, and it's a species of snail. The main reason this is common in plants and not in animals is because plants don't have to deal with bad behavior. You see, the species of snail that has both organs have no vagina, but they do have a uterus-like organ and a penis. That penis is shaped like a harpoon, which they use to stab their partner through the uterus. So sex for them is like one of those duels in the original Star Trek, but it's not a duel to the death, it's a duel to impregnate. The reason for this is because being a mom takes more energy than being a dad. So, you don't want to be a mom if you can avoid it and still produce offspring. That ends up making sex and society more adversarial. So, in most cases, animal species which have sexual dimorphism are more fit than the ones that don't. So biologically speaking, what makes a man and a woman? In the majority of cases, it's pretty clear cut. Men have testicles that produce sperm, which he utilizes to fertilize an egg produced by a woman who then carries the offspring inside her uterus until it's big enough to survive on its own. But what about these side cases? Well, most hermaphrodites are more or less one sex or another. They either have testicles or ovaries, even if they aren't completely functional. Usually, something went wrong during gestation that caused their sexual organs to not develop properly, but their genetics are driving to be one sex or the other. There is a rare case where someone gets both ovaries and testicles, but this is caused by chimerism. Basically, it's caused when two eggs are fertilized, one male and one female, and one embryo engulfs the other. I won't go into too much detail because I covered this in another video, but the cells of the engulfed embryo usually start to develop as if it's part of the other embryo's body. What role it takes depends on where inside the body they end up, since the ovaries and the testicles end up in different locations. If the cells you get from your chimera just happen to be that of the opposite sex, and end up where your sex organs are, you can end up with both. The thing about that is, you're still either male or female. You just have the cells from another person of the opposite sex messing around with you physically and hormonally. With humans, what draws the line is the presence or absence of the Y chromosome. You don't have to be a normal XX or XY to be a woman or a man. There are genetic abnormalities like XXX. It still results in a woman. Or XXY. That results in a man. Or XYY, which also results in a man. And no, embryos who get YY are not viable. So there are no weird YY males. And yes, there is actually also the abnormality where you have one single X chromosome, and yes, it's a woman. If you have a Y chromosome, all the cells with it will be trying to act and function in a way that causes your body to be a man. In the absence of that, they try to act in every way to make you a woman. So biologically speaking, in humans at least, the Y chromosome is the key definer. The issue today is they have people that, due to culture, some psychological reasons, or both, they feel like they want to be the opposite sex. All the hormone therapy and surgery in the world isn't going to change the sex they are at a molecular level. So when someone asks, what's a woman? Biologically speaking, there is an answer. And no, you don't need a degree to answer it. If it's so simple, then why is there an issue? Well, the real issue is, certain groups these days are trying to hijack and politicize the meaning of the words used to describe a person's sex in order to create another special interest group they can cater to make their political opponents look bad and themselves look good. If you like this video, please press the like button, subscribe to my channel, and ding the bell to get notified when I post new videos. Also, please support me on Patreon, link in the description. The more people who support me, the more time I can dedicate to making videos like this one. So, until next time, have a great week.